Okay, well, we're back on our Fireside chat, and I'm Paul Melchesky, here with Chris Galloway and Connie Luda, just to discuss some more going-ons in Concord Township. We are now done with our project, our road project over here in Cryle 44 in Auburn Road. That's the extension of Capitol Parkway. There's been some revisions done by what is commonly known as the Red Hawk area, and we recently put out some delineators there. There will be some additional markings in the road to remind people of the new traffic pattern. Chris or Connie, want to mention anything about those?
Well, I think it's just important for folks to remember that to get used to, first of all, get used to the new traffic patterns, drive it, know what they are. It's an improvement over the previous traffic patterns that were there, especially as it related to going north on Cryle and trying to turn left onto Auburn to access 44 and 90. Morning rush hour from Auburn south onto 44 is moving a lot more smoothly because of the dedicated 2 right turn lanes. What may seem counterintuitive in terms of, say, leaving Friedel or leaving the future Starbucks and having to turn left to get on, to go to 90, actually helps improve the safety of and the traffic flow of the Auburn 44 interchange. And that was designed that way by the engineers in ODOT to alleviate some of the traffic out of that interchange, eliminate one change of the light, which would then speed up cross traffic, especially north-south on 44. And so it's important that, that folks realize that, improvements are made. I think over the next few months, as we all get used to the change in patterns, that they'll become second nature, and all the things that we hated about the previous intersection are now in some ways fixed. There's no such thing as a perfect fix in terms of when you have existing roads and infrastructure and businesses. It's not like building something in the middle of a green field from scratch. So they do the best of what they have in terms of the businesses, the terrain, the property in the surrounding area, and obviously the existing intersection. So I think overall it's an improvement, and I think folks that over time will come to agree with that.
And please be patient.
Yeah.
And if you see the sheriff there, he's going to ticket you if you do one of those round
illegal turns.
Illegal turns, or and please be careful and try not to use the Red Hawk parking lot to turn around.
There's a learning curve and a change of existing habits, but I think the delineators out there are helpful. I think there should be some additional, I believe, pavement markings, and I'm sure we'll have a debate or discussion with that with ODOT. My understanding is ODOT has it marked for a 3-month review and a 6-month review, and making changes to the signals, making changes to the signage, making changes to pavement markings, always to improve and help remind folks of the new traffic pattern. From my standpoint, I think it has always been the road project has been approved initially for safety reasons. And that was under one administration, and it was given dollars from a different administration for the purposes of economic development. So not only is it supposed to be safe, but it's also supposed to bring in economic development. And I think that's a real benefit to Concord Township residents. The more we can expand on our small commercial division in Concord Township, the less burden it puts on the taxpayers and each resident. And so that's the purpose of making sure that we have that healthy balance.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because, I think a lot of people have said to us, we see all these things you guys are doing. What's Concord doing, in terms of the various, studies and then a roadway project and the JED is working hard on some things. What does it all mean? And I think you've touched on that to a degree, which is the road project was designed first to help with some of the safety and traffic flow problems at that interchange. The trustees are well aware that it doesn't affect the eventual route problem that needs to be addressed, which is 90 and 44 itself by ODOT. We will continue to press ODOT on the need to make changes at that interchange, be it adding additional turn lanes, maybe some signalization, and eventually a redesign of the entire interchange itself, which again was originally designed back in the 50s.
Sure.
And we all know from a population standpoint, there really wasn't anything to speak of out here. And unfortunately, ODOT has not, put it on the radar in terms of upgrading that intersection on 90. It's on our radar. It remains on our radar. And we have frequent meetings with ODOT staff, engineers, higher ups from time to time to continue to try to push a long-term solution.
But they've historically been reactive rather than proactive, and we're trying to be proactive.
Well, I think we do the things, that's what's happened with this project, and sometimes that just that falls on us. We've had people say, well, you guys did this great project, but none of this is township. These are county roads and state roads.
That's true.
And it is true, but if we hadn't taken the initiative, there would be no change.
That's true.
And so sometimes, just like other things in life, you have to be the one to take the initiative, and that's what we've done, and we continue to do.
And we're trying to make Concord attractive to businesses and industry to relieve the tax burden on the residents.
Correct. And that's the other half of the road project, was in terms of what it does in terms of economic development. Folks are already seeing some signs and some hints as to what that will mean. Undoubtedly, people have driven down Cryle. They've seen the new shopping development that's going in on the south side of Grist Mill, Riders and the Sunoco in that area. One of those businesses is going to be Starbucks. We all know that that's something that we pursued for 5 years to get done. And why did we pursue that? Well, truthfully, the two things that we've been asked for as trustees in terms of a business or a service that people have asked for the longest have been a Starbucks and a drugstore.
And a drugstore.
And, we work on the big picture stuff, tax balances and making sure the fire department has equipment. But it's also important to us that when our residents are saying, hey, I want a Starbucks. And look, there's plenty of people that think that's probably silly. But you work on those things because it's a quality of life issue for your residents. And that's why we work so hard on those types of things as well. We also have a drugstore that's planning to locate onto Cryle Road. That hopefully that will be taking shape this summer. And so that was also a long-term pursuit on our part. I can tell you that some of the meetings that we had with different drugstores for a number of years was no, we're not going to Concord. But we sold Concord, and that's part of our job. And the important thing about that is that those are the services that our residents want and expect, because we all know that there are some basic things that folks want, and they don't want to have to go to Mentor for everything. Right?
And the important thing that I think that we've learned over the years is not only to get those services here, it requires us not only to have the infrastructure in place that those service providers desire, but you not only have to put that infrastructure in place and then provide them details that their business will be supported here, and then literally take them by the hand and bring them here to show them that. and I think we learn about that on a daily basis. I also, kind of stepping back a little bit on what we discussed before, as you listen to some of the national politics of infrastructure projects, there was project ready. Infrastructure projects that were supposed to be implemented. We thought that 90-44 would be a perfect opportunity for that to take place, and for whatever reason, it didn't meet that definition, and we pushed on them. But I thought that as soon as our project took off here in the Cryle Auburn Road project, Capitol Parkway project, they started to realize that we were right. 90-44 was due for improvements over there, and I think they're a little bit more cognizant of that fact based upon our project. And hopefully, as they start discussing infrastructure projects again now, the road infrastructure projects are significant that are deteriorating throughout the United States. The changes or the actual interchanges and exits are different than they were back in the 50s that they put in. So I think they have to make those changes. I think all that adds to and is fueled by things that we do here on a daily basis, and then things that we try to champion throughout Concord Township.
I think you said it best when you talked about ODOT, which is reactive versus proactive.
Yes.
And I think that's the one thing that we've always tried to do, which is be proactive
Right.
in terms of looking down the road to seeing what problems may be arising and what would those long-term solutions be. The road project is a great example because yes, it worked on a traffic flow, it worked on a safety issue, component that we needed to address, and we've done so. But it also then opened up an entire opportunity in terms of greenfield development in our commercial corridor. Mm-hmm. And when we say commercial corridor, only 7% of Concord Township is zoned for commercial activity, which means that we have to maximize in the best way possible what is happening within that 7%. And most of that 7% is right here in this 44 Auburn corridor where we're having this little chat. In talking with developers and representatives of businesses like, say, Starbucks, or even, we've had conversations with various looking at Concord as a location for a new hotel. The interchange was a game changer. Mm-hmm. In that we went out and proactively put this project together over a 10-year period, set up the zoning, aligned the financing, and keeping in mind the financing for the road project did not come out of any existing levies that our property owners and homeowners pay. Right. That was all independently funded through other sources. And so when you talk to developers, when you talk to businesses and representatives and brokers, they all say the road changes everything. That's why Starbucks is coming. That's why the drugstore is coming. That's why hotels are looking. The interchange, it opened up an entire area of opportunity. And I would say that this is not a new thing for this board, that we just somehow just discovered that there needed to be economic development in this corridor. This had been a goal for Concord Township back into the 1960s with previous boards of trustees. In fact, we've all seen the comprehensive plan from 1968, and the trustees, their vision at the time was, instead of having Quail Hollow, was to have a Ford or a GM plan. And of course, that was thinking at the time,
right.
A manufacturing-based area, region. It made sense.
Visions have changed throughout every 10 years. However, they're all have one goal in mind is again the knowledge that you're going to have some economic development, some commercial development to sustain the residential development that takes place.
Correct. And the tools to do that have been developed over the years too, like the JED and TIF financing.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it just takes time. It's disappointing because as you start a project and you're excited about it, some of the professionals will tell you it's going to take some time, and you you don't understand why nor understand how it could. But it just seems
You didn't realize that doing this road project would take the distance of 1/8 of your life.
No. There are these barriers that keep on putting, that become obstacles that you have to leap over. And we've been successful in leaping over those obstacles, but it just does take time, and it's unfortunate. And I think even as those things take place, I think we continue to develop and redevelop our ideas of what this corridor should look like, and how a mature Concord Township will look like.
I'd like to put a good word in for our team. The employees of Concord Township do a very good job, and we have a great team that works well together to help us do all these things.
I think we're very lucky in that sense.
Yes.
I tell folks all the time that our jobs would be a lot harder if we didn't have excellent staff.
Yes.
And we have great, dedicated folks to this community. Some live here, some don't. But they all very much, from the road department through the fire department and our sheriff's deputies that serve, there's a lot of folks that really care, and I think we're blessed from that standpoint. So it's a very good point.
And don't forget the zoning department.
Oh, how could I
And the
forget?
administration. They're
Well, I would say if the general public could see our strategic planning meetings that we have every 6 months, and see the directors and employees that come to the table and help fuel the ideas that we as trustees kind of lay out to them, it's kind of incredible on the improvement of the ideas, or the ideas that they do bring forward to us, and working to make Concord Township, develop and better in each day.
And the recreation department, almost.
The recreation department provides a great asset for quality of life.
Yes.
Here in our community, and we're always looking for ways that we can improve upon that, and hopefully provide more strategic resources for those activities. Because I know that there's some people that don't want services, and there's people that do want services, and it's our job to provide that vision and strike a balance in terms of what will be affordable and also achievable. And I think I'm excited about the future because of not only just all the projects that are going on in the township, but when you get out, and especially when you get to meet new residents in the community, and they talk about they used to live here or there, and I very, very rarely ever get someone who's talking about something negative in terms of they just moved to Concord and that it's a bad experience. More the vast times more that it's about what a great community. To give a little bit of an update, we are engaging right now with ODOT on a new traffic study. We've agreed with ODOT to split the cost to look at the cryo-girdled 44 Auburn interchange area down by Auburn Career Center. We recognize that is a traffic pattern problem area. Unfortunately, those roads all came together in different times and different reasons and with different levels of population and traffic around them. And so we know that if it's not addressed, it's not going to get better.
That's right.
And so we approached ODOT about what would it take to get the process started in terms of making some changes there. They proposed doing a study, and they offered to split that cost with us, which I thought was very generous. And so that process is now underway. And we will be looking at that entire interchange area and what kind of changes may be needed. It may require some dramatic changes. It may just need some tweaking. It may involve some changes to 44 itself in terms of how it operates as a limited state access highway. There may be changes to Auburn, so stand by on that. We're hard.
Additionally, we're also looking at Old Johnny Cake in that intersection over there where the light is in front of the gas station, and renovations to that area as you're entering into the other commercial corridor of Concord Township. And we believe that there's manipulation of that traffic pattern and that light that will allow us to allow that to flow a little bit better as you're backing up for school and church on Sundays. You can see how that gets there's issues there and difficulty. I'll be back to Prouty.
And we're always open to suggestions.
Sure.
And questions. So,
Fun fact, we learned from the study that we have a draft form that I was reviewing this weekend from that Auburn, or rather the Johnny Cake, Old Johnny Cake. The Johnny Cake, Old Johnny Cake traffic numbers. Old Johnny Cake has more daily traffic than Johnny Cake does. That's how busy Old Johnny Cake is. And it's something that we've long recognized that there need to be upgrades, not only to the interchange at Johnny Cake and Old Johnny Cake, but also looking at the possibility of widening Old Johnny Cake and adding a turn lane down the middle. We've had discussions with the county about it. The city of Mentor supports that vision in terms of making upgrades in their section of Old Johnny Cake.
And again, that just shows you the difficulty, and you have to have ODOT, you have to get the county, you got to get the city of Mentor, as well as Concord Township, all on the same page to do that project.
that's why it takes so long.
Sure.
Well, and there's also, as we know, as we've learned through this project, there are a lot of regulatory process that the ODOT requires. Remember the first meeting where ODOT laid out their 17-step process?
Sure. 17-step process. And then when you have these individuals in there, everybody's got a budget for their share of the project, and certain people, save their money in a different fashion than you would. So
the big trick on the Old Johnny Cake project is going to be, to put it bluntly, getting the county on board and motivating them to make these changes and to be a part of this process. And we continue to work on that. At the end of the day, that's what our job is to be the advocates for the residents of Concord. And so that's why we're here. That's why we do these little chats from time to time to just talk about issues in ways that we don't always get an opportunity to in our main meetings, where it's a lot of business and POs and resolutions. So we'd like to do this from time to time to just talk about issues, kind of talk about what's going on. And, maybe sometime in the future, as we develop some of our communication tools here in the township, there will be an opportunity for talks like this to be a little more two-way. We had a phone ring earlier.
Sure.
Maybe there's calling. Ask the trustees that. Sure, why not? Again, I would say that we're always available for calls or emails. It's all on our website, www.concordtwp.com. You can reach out to any of us or a department head staff if you have a specific question about particular activities of a department or need assistance with something. Everybody is always anxious to help, and we're here to continue to work on the big picture stuff and to be an advocate for this community that we all love and call home, and appreciate everybody taking the time to watch this.
Yeah, we're also making a huge push this year for communication and making sure we get that outreach from Concord Township out there. So any assistance, any suggestions, or any necessary needs of communicating, please let us know, and we'll try to get the word out as quickly as possible.
And so I would say thank you for watching.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.